What's up everybody, so today we're going to be covering another Hoods, Outlaws, and Legends video. Today primarily covering 10 tips to help you guys improve for the global release of this game. Now, first of all, I want to thank everybody for massively supporting the review we dropped a couple days ago, now making my most viewed video on this channel ever. Really cannot thank you guys enough. If you want to see more from me, hey, make sure to sub to the channel, would really help me out quite a bit. And if you do enjoy this type of content, leave a like down below. Really show me you guys want to see more Hood Outlaws videos. But yeah, with that being said, let's talk about the top 10 tips. Now, this first one's going to be kind of controversial, and no, I am not going to be defending in any way, shape, or form, but that is going to be winching. Winching is kind of a thing I see people do very wrong in most of my games, which they'll go and start winching, but they'll either winch in a very unfavorable position, or they'll just kind of donkey winch. I don't know what else to call it, where they'll just sit there and they'll keep winching without really any thought behind it. The winching phase is actually pretty dynamic, and there's quite a few steps that does go into it to make sure you get a complete heist. Now again, this isn't to say that winching is a great thing. I really do feel like it should be reworked in some capacity, but since it is still in the game, I want to talk about how you guys can do better at it. So first of all, when you do acquire the chest, make sure you bring it into an advantageous winching point. What this means is that where you spawn initially, that spawn is never really going to go away. So you can bring the chest to the nearest winch towards your original spawn point. That way you will never struggle with actually having an inherent spawn to get back into the fight in case you do die. Spawn points. Spawn points are super important, especially in this phase of the game. They're going to be what determines whether or not you actually complete this heist, or they're able to steal it right under your noses. If you have a winch that's right next to spawn point C, for example, and you're just letting the enemies cap that and sit on it the entire time, well, you're just giving them full access to spawn on top of you, despite what you did earlier, which is bringing the chest to an advantageous point, because now you made an advantageous point for them. So keeping control of the nearest spawn point, especially that's near the winching location, is going to be huge to making sure you secure that final square. Winching in general. So winching, when I mentioned earlier when I said you guys are kind of winching randomly, what I mean is that you guys are just kind of completing the notches without any real reason behind it. Of course, we all want our good old bounty at the end of the day. That is the whole purpose after all. But there is a way of doing things better. What me and my crew like to do, and what I've seen a lot of players start doing, is leaving it towards the last 3 notches at the very end and making sure you can wipe the team before anything. If you follow the previous tips of getting the spawn points nearby the winch, making sure the winch is near your spawn point and not the enemy team's inherent spawn point, this will help you out a ton, because this will give you some leeway in case they are able to wipe you and give you enough time to come back into the fray and secure and try to steal it under their noses if they try to go too deep with completing the game. Stealthing. Now, I know it sounds really weird to be covering a stealthing in a game about a stealth, but hold on there's a reason for this. There's been a lot of community discussion about how stealth doesn't really matter in this game, and in a sense I do somewhat agree, but I don't fully agree with what people are saying here. If you're just running through the map and you're getting aggroed by every mob, well, first of all, the enemy team has full vision of you. In a third-person game, having the enemy team have wall hacks on you is really gonna hurt. You are able to play with line of sight a ton in this game, and aside from the third-person perspective, the general tint of the game, since it's so dark, makes it really hard to see players sometimes if they're trying to be very sneaky. So making sure you don't get caught is gonna help you a ton with securing those kills and able to get those early objectives. Aside from that, making sure you are able to actually stealth through the first couple portions of the game is gonna make it so you can follow through with the first couple tips that we mentioned earlier on, which is getting that chest and putting it near an advantageous point for you. That whole first 2 steps of the game, securing the key, finding the chest, is all going to move towards you being able to bring that chest towards a position that's good for you. What is your character good at? Now, this is a question you ask yourself when you pick your character. What are you really trying to secure with your character? Are you a Marianne? Are you the hunter? Are you trying to run around being sneaky, being the lone wolf, and just trying to pick fights at a mid-range battle? Are you aware that you can take those fights at a mid-range battle and not really up close? Understanding what your character's strengths and weaknesses are is gonna help you learn how to play like a team, or even as an individual when it comes to these matches. I see way too many hoods walk to my face melee range, and I'm just like, what the heck are you doing? You're gonna die. Or too many Mariannes doing the same thing, or Johns just throwing out light attacks thinking it's just gonna connect. This game actually does kind of have a flow to it, especially with the combat, especially with how simplistic it is. You know, I see a lot of people complaining about John at the moment. John, in my opinion, is actually one of the weakest characters in the game for the most part, where if if you are against another melee character, he is so telegraphed you could just parry him, and if you're against a ranged character, they can generally just dash out of your attacks. So John becomes very much more of a team play character in my opinion, more so than a solo character. So trying to understand exactly what your character strengths and weakness are is gonna help you improve to do exactly that. Grenades. I feel like I really shouldn't be having to cover grenades at all because it's something mentioned in the tutorial, but I see too many people not using grenades. Grenades are so incredibly strong, especially since I would imagine Hood's probably one of the most popular characters in the game. Seeing Hoods not use their grenade actually baffles me. His grenade is a flashbang. Do I need to explain how good a flashbang is in this game? Especially in a game with limited mobility and where people can get one shot, and you're playing a character that can one shot people, please make sure you use your grenades. Every character's grenade is absolutely useful in one way or another. Even Marianne's, where Shears is just mostly for PvE and dropping aggro. So make sure you understand what your grenades do and knowing in what situations you can use them in. Teamwork. This should not be that complicated, guys. When you play this game, this is not a game where you're really trying to play it solo. This is a 4v4 game and team emphasis is massive here. Trying to do things by yourself, it's really difficult and usually very situational. Really, I think the only character that could do things by themselves at the moment because they're designed for it is the Hunter. But Hood, the Mystic, and the Brawler really have to try and play more of a team. They all fit in a team aspect. For example, Mystic has the ultimate that can heal their teammates and themselves. John can turn himself into a super annoying frontline while his backline is able to dish out damage or go for a cheeky execute. Playing around your team composition and the plan you're trying to execute is going to help you a ton. So don't come here complaining when you're playing John and realize, hey, I can't 1v4 the enemy team by myself and my teammates are all noobs, they're terrible at this game, how do I get better? Well, you probably need to play with your team more, and that's how you're gonna get better. Team play is one thing, but how can you improve your team play? Well, you do have, of course, voice comms is gonna help you out a ton, but the ping system is actually severely underutilized. The ping system is very effective at helping even if you're not in comms, just to tell people exactly what they're looking at. Maybe ping in a general direction, hey, there's an enemy here, hey, the sheriff is here, hey, there's an elite AI in front of me, maybe we should try and get a cheeky execute on him so that way we can deal with him a lot faster than just beating him down. There are a lot of ways to utilize this ping system to your advantage, and I think the biggest tip I could give you guys for trying to win the game is, seriously, do not stagger your deaths. Okay, so hear me out here. If any of you guys ever played Overwatch or maybe any like hero team shooters, you may have seen the term staggering your deaths, where that's where people kind of come in, they'll die one by one, and then the respawn timers are all over the place, right? Until you're finally able to come back together. Well, this game is no different. If you're trying to go in and make the hero play and you just keep dying and now it's just a 3v4, you're doing your team more harm than good. I'd rather have a bad teammate any day than have a teammate that's just constantly dead. Playing around your ultimate or your team's ultimate is also going to be huge. Did you guys know you actually build your ultimate up by killing the AIs around the map? That actually will help you out quite a bit, especially if you have a really impactful ult such as the Mystics or Hood's ultimate, especially for when you have to deal with the winching at the very end. Those ultimates are absolutely clutch at securing it. But in the early phases of the game, something like a Marianne's ult allows you to sneak through a ton of enemies for free and grab the sheriff's key just to secure that chest for you and your team, making it a lot easier for you guys to bring it to the advantageous point that we covered earlier. So maybe if you're in comms with your friends, you could let them know, hey, let me get a few early kills as the Marianne to start stacking up my ultimate charge. That way I can sneak through the town and we don't have to spend a ton of time here, and we can start maybe getting this at a pace where the enemy team really isn't prepared for. Be careful about getting animation locked. When you do play the melee characters in the game, the Mystic and the Brawler, well, their attacks hit incredibly hard but come with a very long animation wind down. What I mean by this is after you attack, you actually can't really do anything during that period, so you're stuck in that animation. One thing that is very common is that, let's say you're playing John for example, and you go for your heavy attack, you smash the ground, yeah, it does a lot of damage, but if you miss or you're fighting a Hood that dodges out of it, you're now wide open, you're vulnerable, and you can't block, and you're probably as good as dead. So make sure you're either attacking with your team in those scenarios, or make sure that you know the enemy is stuck in a corner or doesn't have the stamina to really make sure you're able to secure that attack in, because good players will punish those attacks very frequently. I think for the last tip I could give you guys today is going to be about map awareness. Map awareness is actually very important here for a couple reasons. The first one is going to be to show if exactly when somebody may have been capping a point point. Maybe somebody was waiting in the outskirts trying to cap a point as you were walking away. Well, if you're checking the map, you can see the bar of the zone going down, and you'll know exactly when somebody's trying to steal it from under your nose. Secondly, another big reason is going to be when somebody is revealed, you can actually check the map to see exactly what the class is. You can see the icon, maybe it's a John, you can see the hammer over them, and you'll know exactly where they are in the map. Again, can't thank you guys enough for supporting the hood content. Expect more from me, and let me know down in the comments below what type of content you guys want to see after the release. Maybe I'll cover like the day one patch when it's out. Maybe I'm planning on doing some character guides. I've been playing an absolute ton of Marianne and enjoying her, and I feel like there's quite a bit of information on her that people really don't know yet, so maybe I'll cover her in the next video. But hey, if you guys enjoyed the video, you already know what to do. Leave a like down below, and also we do stream pretty much every day over on twitch.tv/Tomsorcer. Check me out if you haven't already. Gonna be playing a ton of hood moving forward, and probably some other things as well. But hey, that's gonna be all from me today, guys. Hope y'all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all next time.